Hey there, welcome to saas.unbound, brought to you by saas.group. I'm your host, Anna Dana, and this is the show where we chat with inspiring founders and experts to get an inside scoop on how they made their business a success. And today with me is Hendrick Lennarz, founder of Hendrick Growth, a passionate growth marketer helping companies develop their individual growth strategy, identify strong ideas and growth hacks, and implement them continuously. Very warm welcome.
Hi, Anna. Thanks for being here. Thanks for inviting me. I'm really looking forward to our session.
Sure. I mean, growth marketer to growth marketer, that I think has never happened on the podcast yet. So really interested on how it's going to go. But you've got a fascinating background story. So I would love to hear it again because we just discussed it. So yeah, can we dig into your background a little?
Yes, for sure. So my name is Hendrik. I'm living in Cologne in Germany. And I explain it always like I'm a techie guy. Or I have been a techie guy. I learned really coding and at university. And my first job was here in Cologne at Trusted Shops. So that is a trust for e-commerce company. And when I started there, they were in an early phase with just some employees, so not too big. And all my friends from the university, they went to the big consultancy companies and so on. I had more the feeling, so I want to go to a smaller one because, maybe I can do a bit more there. And then I started at Trusted Shops. They had a product. It was a seal of approval. So to increase the conversion rates in e-commerce sites, the seal of approval. And the interesting thing, I know today, but not when I started there because it was 2006, so very long time ago, it was founded as a SaaS model. So for all guys are listening here, we're talking about SaaS every day, but in 2006 in Germany, it was not a common thing to do a SaaS model. And then I started there as a techie in 2006 and a lot of coding everywhere to do. And then in 2007, I remember that was in the days of where SEO was getting bigger and bigger.
Was so fun.
It was still fun, and it was so much easier to get traffic from SEO than today, a long time ago. And from the techie side, it started, we built a company blog with WordPress, and I was a techie, so I built it up. And then there was a question, now we have the blog, but we need content. It was not the name for it in these days, content. It was something like we need blog posts. And then I said, I can articles, right? So whatever. And then I started to write about some tech stuff and so on and so on. And that was my start with online marketing, because then I got the feeling like, if we do it like this, we are getting a bit more traffic. If we're doing like in another way, we get a bit more or different traffic. And then we played around with some banners. So, and that was my beginning. I said, I'm a techie, but this kind of getting the people on your websites is really interesting. So I was a techie with an interest in online marketing, and that's my character to get deeper and deeper. And so I did a lot of SEO stuff for Trusted Shops. I did a lot of SEO projects for myself, because being a techie and a marketer in combination is something was really helpful to be fast. And then around 2010, we had an idea to build a new product, and that was a 5-star review system. And everybody's listening. You say, oh, boring. No, it is 2010. So 5-star rating system was only available in Amazon and in eBay, not for all other e-commerce sites. And that was something where we get a bit out of the system. The founder, so Jean-Marc Noël, the founder of Trusted Shops, myself and one developer, where we said, we have to build it. and then we scribbled the idea for the product, everything what to do, and then 3 months later we had implemented, and then we launched it. And 1 day later, Jean-Marc told me, "Okay, Hendrik, now you are the product manager." So, okay, nice. Now I'm the product manager. What does it mean?
Yeah.
So, and for me, it was today. We would say it's something like an incorporate startup would be the name
Mm-hmm.
for it, maybe today. But it was like I had to build up the marketing around it and to develop the product, to build up the teams around it, and that was my beginning. To feel maybe like a small startup founder
Mm-hmm.
in a system. And that was 2010. And then Trusted Jobs, in the meanwhile, was getting bigger and bigger. I was growing up as well. I had a team of 56 people in the end. And then I remember, like it have been today, it was 2013. I read an article on TechCrunch about growth hacking. And it was something like, okay, I have to read it again. And then I read it again and again. I said, that's me. So
Right.
I was not a technician. I was not a marketer. I was never a product manager. I was always something like this hybrid thing. And it was growth hacking. That's me. That's what I'm doing for all of my life. But I never had a name for it.
Now they got a name for it.
There was a name for it, and then I googled it, growth hacking in the German Google, and there was some just English article, but nothing German. And then I thought, okay, it's what I'm doing. There is nobody in Germany who's doing it, and I said, okay, that's my chance. I have to do this. And then I faded out 6 months in Trusted Jobs and started my own company in growth hacking. And it was 2017, so 6-7 years ago. And from this point on, we had the chance to help 550 companies, SaaS companies, e-commerce sites, big corporates, how they can reach their goals a bit faster with growth hacking. And that makes me really happy because I love it to fasten up the teams. And I have no idea what I should do or what I could do better with my time than
This.
just helping our clients to get faster. Yeah.
Okay. All right. That's a fascinating story, really. But, everyone's talking about hacking, right? And I kind of still remember those times. It was the very, very beginning of my career, but I still kind of remember like how different it was. Like SEO was different. You could like overnight become number one on Google. So there was the hacking aspect there, like definitely was a hacking aspect there. Now when people are talking about hacking, and like I always ask founders, oh, what's your hack? Like, can you share a hack about your business? Like this year, what are you doing this year? Because, the economical situation is, well, let's not even go there, right? Everyone's trying to focus on the profits, and, it's just a lot more difficult. So everyone seems to say, oh, I wish there was a hack. There's no hack anymore. It's just getting shit done. It's just grinding. It's working. It's doing the boring stuff. It's getting your hands dirty. So, and for growth marketers, I think it has changed tremendously over the years. So, what is growth hacking today? What is growth hacking for you today?
Yeah. Yes. And it's what is really important is something what you mentioned already. I think there is a difference between growth hacking today and maybe 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And for me, I have to separate it. So growth, I think, is pretty clear. And if we bring it to SaaS, there are your growth KPIs.
Mm-hmm.
It could be revenue, it could be margin, it could be your DAOs, it could be active users. So I'm pretty sure you all know these kind of SaaS KPIs, or churn, predictive churn, and so on and so on. So it depends. So, but it's really important to have your growth, the right growth KPI to focus the right growth KPI. I think we come to this point a bit later. So that's growth, to focus this one goal. What is the most important goal for you? Then comes the hacking part. And the hacking part, for sure, as we all know, and for 10 years, it was a problem in my own marketing, because all German companies think there's something illegal. Today it's a bit different. We learned about it. But in my early days, that was my biggest issue, to explain to everybody that's not illegal, that we are not hacking some systems with the hoodie on or something. It was like, it's like a methodology. It's like a way to do things. And the hacking part, and that was my fortune that I was a techie before, it's just systematical trial and error. And the focus point is systematical. It's not like let's do something, or let's do as many things as possible, or like the big corporates do, even in the SaaS world, to make the biggest projects for 6, 12, 24 months. So that's not the idea behind this, to really focus the goal, the growth goal, and then to generate ideas where you think they could hack your growth goal, but not other ideas. And that's in the projects the hardest part, to find ideas, because everybody's having good ideas, right? Everywhere. So that's not the problem, that the people are not having ideas, but to find ideas that relate exactly to your growth goal. So to prioritize the right ideas, and then to implement them as an experiment. Not just to do it, because we all are very good in just doing things. Oh, we have to do this, and this, and then just do it. What is an experiment? An experiment is something where I say, okay, idea number one, to write down something like a hypothesis, to say, I think with this idea, we can uplift, just to make an easy example, to uplift our conversion rate on our free trial landing page about around 1%. Why? Because we think the people don't know exactly what they get with our product, and with this idea, if we explain it with video, we think we can increase this by 1%. That is a starting point. And maybe it sounds easy, or it sounds clear that everybody should do it like this way. But if you're honest, we never have time for this, to say, okay, what is the idea behind the idea? So, because when you do it, or if you do it without an hypothesis, we come to the end of the process, you're not able to measure. Because what should I measure? So we have this hypothesis, and after that we say, okay, what do we have to do now? That's something what is easy for us to just build it. But there comes a trick. From my point of view, I say, how can we build it? How can we test it if this idea works or not in at least 30 days? And that's a stress point where everybody said, it's not possible in 30 days. It will take us even more things. Like, we have only 30 days. So that means we have to slice the big idea in smaller pieces, because we are not having so much time, even in SaaS, because everybody's changing and blah, blah. So we have to just 30 days. How can I test this idea in 30 days if it works or not? To slice it in smaller pieces and start with the first piece, go outside with it, and then get the real results as fast as possible. And then the last step is measure. You have this hypothesis. What are the figures? Is it good? Is it not good? Is it mid-range? So, and then comes the question, okay, do I get rid of the idea because it didn't work, and then I take the next one? Or do I think, okay, it's going in the right direction, but we have to do another iteration. We have to work on it. So, and that's the whole methodology. Yeah, to have a clear growth goal, generate ideas that direct to this growth goal, hypothesis, cutting the idea in smaller pieces so that in at least 30 days you can get the first results, the first measurables, to say, okay, good idea or not. And that's the way you can grow and grow and grow with your ideas step by step. And you said it's not the one hack where this rocket science thing where somebody's coming and say, hey, you have to do this, and then you're skyrocket, this hockey stick curve everybody knows. That's not the idea behind, is to develop the right ideas, to execute them as fast as possible, to measure what works or not. And what I can promise, if you do this in the right way and continuously, for sure there will be these growth hacks in between what maybe can skyrocket what can skyrocket your business. So
Right.
but it's not, the idea behind is to grow step by step with this methodology.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, a lot of marketers, growth marketers, say that, yeah, it's a lot about just, common sense. But for, to make it work, you need the methodology, you need the strategy, you need to be able to measure it. So, yeah, completely agree with you. But, well, since you've worked with over 500,000 companies, including SaaS companies, right? It would be really interesting to hear, like, what do you see on the market? Like, what are the biggest mistakes or biggest misconceptions and challenges that founders of SaaS companies that come to you for, for growth hacking are experiencing?
Yeah, really good question. So I would say there are so many points, but we are observing always there are three big ones for SaaS companies. The number one is, I would say, for all of our clients, even the big corporates without SaaS, and it's so stupid. Sorry, starting with this one, but it's always the same. It's the knowledge of your target group. Being specific in your target group, and I can do it in one more step. What is the problem what you're solving? And to make this one clear, because most of us, we are building a product, and if you ask which kind of problems do you solve for whom, they say, okay, for this kind of target group we are solving this problem, and this problem. And for the other target group, because we like them, they are bigger, we get more money from them, for instance, I think everybody of us knows this kind of problem. We have this problem and this problem and this problem. So being clearly positioned in your market, it's my number one. And being clear what kind of problem you are solving. And if I can choose, there's one target group and there's one problem. And that's where it starts. And it starts in your marketing, in your social media, in your PR, in your TV advertisements, and whatever you're doing there. There's one big problem for one target group. And then if you're focusing this in the marketing, you're getting them on your page, and then make them clear as fast as possible that you're solving this kind of problem for them. So that's my number one. And it sounds stupid, but it isn't stupid, because everybody of us says, okay, but what about the other target group? We had a client there and they are giving us so much money, blah, blah. Yes, I know this for myself, but being clear, target group, and what kind of problem do you're solving for them. That's my number one.
Sure.
And that's,
Yeah, like I said, it's common sense, right? It seems like it,
it
but
is.
then a lot of founders are avoiding it and like, oh, but our total addressable market is so much bigger, and like we can get so many more clients. So yeah, so
Yeah.
it's the one that is hard to let go.
Yeah. And if you have this big marketing book, yeah, from 1990, maybe, it's abstract number one. And if you have this big marketing book from 2024, it's abstract number one.
Yeah.
So it's where it begins. So that's my number one. Then comes number two for SaaS and most of the others as well. It's how do I get the people in my system? So what is the first step to get them in? Is it a free trial? Is it a freemium? Is it maybe, for me, the usual lead management before? Do I have to get them a piece of content like a white paper to get them in and to bring them from there to my product? So that's a really, really big bucket. And I think the biggest failure is what the most. So the content for these kind of things is everywhere. So you will find 11 million YouTube videos. What kind of first steps in your system are out there? Or you say, oh, we have to do it like Dropbox, or we have to do it like Spotify, or so. The problem is not what to do, the idea what to do. It's more like to find out, to test. There comes my pitch. Yeah, to test what is the right entry for my target group and what kind of problem, and the business model what's coming behind. That's my number two. And most of the SaaS companies are sticking to their first idea, and because it's hard, they're not experimenting with it enough.
Yeah.
So that's my big number two.
Okay.
A really hard one.
That's a good one. Yeah. What's number three?
Yeah, and it's not common sense. That's not a common sense one, because common sense would be, the big SaaS companies like Dropbox, Facebook, and whatever are doing like this. That means it should be for us the same. Yeah. No. It's just the idea. There are too many parameters to find out what is the right entry in your system for you.
Yeah, sure.
My number two. So then comes, I would say, maybe for SaaS, hopefully classical number three. It's like, if you're getting them in, to bring them as fast as possible to the aha moment. Have you had a podcast already where somebody talked about the aha moment?
Only always. Like, everyone talks about trying to, to make it happen. And like, once they figured it out, how everything is changing. And well, for some, it takes a hard pivot before they find the aha moment. For some, some are very lucky and smart to just figure it out on the first take. But definitely, I think it's super important.
Yeah. So I'll give you an example. So my first date with the aha moment was in my former Trusted Jobs times. And there was no theory around the aha moment. It was like, we just found it. We had this kind of 5-star review system. And we found out that the point when our customers, the 10th review in, not the first, not the second, not the fifth, and not the 50th, the 10th review. When the 10th review comes in, the customer starts getting the feeling, oh, that's why I'm here. And now it starts working. And if you think about the reviews, 10th reviews, there is something already. You have a small lock-in effect, like, there are 10s. Don't steal me my 10 reviews now. There is something in my pocket already. And from the customer side, if you go to an e-commerce site with 3 reviews, it's not enough, right? With 5 reviews, it's not enough. But after 10 reviews, it starts getting like, okay, there is something. That could be something like a real e-commerce site. Yeah. And now it sounds easy maybe, but we have to find out. What is the figure? Is it 5? Is it 10? Is it 50? And then we find out that after the 10th review, it was a freemium model in the beginning. When we start talking to them after the 10th review, they start being like, that is a real tool, and they start talking with us about money to do the upgrade to the paid version, and not before. If we start talking to them with 5th reviews, or even with the first, they say, no. There's not. Where's the value of the tool? But after the 10th, it was like, okay, from now on, we have this point. So first step is to find out what is your aha moment from customer perspective. When does a customer feel in your experience, oh, that's the reason why I'm here. That's the reason why I should pay money for it. Number one, you have to find out. And then step number 2 is to focus everything what you have in your onboarding experience to bring them to this point. And not you can do this and you can do this, you can upload a picture and blah, 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 to bring them that they can reach the aha moment as soon as possible in the whole onboarding experience. And maybe it sounds easy, but I would say everybody in SaaS who's working on it knows, no. To find out is not easy. And then to focus everything on this point, is not easy as well.
Yeah,
That's my number 3.
absolutely. Yeah, that's a really good one. And again, it's like you said, it's a common sense, but working on it, figuring it out is just so difficult, especially for some companies. And there are so many stories. There have been so many stories on this podcast where, it took us, I don't know, a year or 2 years to pivot and, whatnot to figure it out. And only then it started to work and it started to change. All right. So I completely agree with those 3. Okay.
But Anna, honestly, you say it's common sense, and I would disagree, because for both of us, it's common sense, because we are doing it. It feels for me that I'm doing it for my whole life.
Right. Maybe.
Yeah, but for both of us, it's common sense. But I promise, from 10 SaaS companies listening here, and they are building up teams, and maybe if the founder, the big founder of the company, maybe knows what the aha moment is and so on, but maybe they have now 50 people or 100 people or 20 people or 500 people to bring this idea of the aha moment, why it is so important, and what the aha moment is from customer perspective, and that we have to focus it everywhere to bring this in the team is a completely different story. To know the theory around it and to bring it on the street with your team, it's a completely different story, and that is not common sense for everybody.
Yeah. No, I mean, like once you figure it out, like once you know what you needed to do, you're like, oh, but like it seems so easy once you understand what it is. That's what I mean. But to come to this idea, sure, for a lot of founders, especially if they're like more on the technical side, that's sometimes a very, very difficult decision and a very difficult conclusion to have. So absolutely agree. All right.
I will give you one example. Maybe what is not this common sense. I think a lot of your SaaS companies are playing around with webinars. So it's for tech companies, tech SaaS startups. So there's maybe something around webinars, and I think it's always a good example. If you're doing a webinar, I would say there are coming new prospects or older prospects from a CM, whatever. But in the webinar, you should do just one thing: show them the fucking aha moment. Show them the aha moment all the time in the webinar. So that's something that we say, okay, we know the aha moment, we have a really good onboarding experience, blah, blah, blah. And then they are showing up their webinar and say, okay, what you are doing there in the webinar. You have to bring them to the aha moment in the webinar. And if you're not able to bring them, that show them the aha moment. Give them testimonials around the aha moment. It's always a question of the aha moment. So that's maybe one example in the operations in the end of these kind of projects, what we are doing, where we say, okay, you have the aha moment already, but you have 2-3 touch points what are really important for your funnel, but you're not playing around with the aha moment there. Let's make a test what happens if we do it. Yeah, just to give you this example.
Yeah, sure. No, that's a great one. But okay, so since we started talking about, the hacks and like what companies are doing wrong usually, so could you maybe share your favorite growth hack? Like what? It's almost 2024. Oh my God! Like where did the time go? Right. So for 2024. What would be the hack that you would recommend SaaS companies to start doing, or to try to figure out, or something that you would do as a founder?
Yes, I would say there are maybe I would separate the SaaS companies in 2 groups.
Sure.
The first group is we are still starting and building up our customer base, and there's another one that has already a big customer base, and maybe we start with this group, and then why I have to separate them. For the second part, so you have a good customer base already. You have this aha moment ideas implemented, and I would say it's working. You are in the scaling phase.
Yeah.
Then you have to focus your churn figures, and that's something what is not funny. It feels not like, so it's always more fun to get new customers on board and blah blah, but have to focus your churn. So the customers who churns, why do they churn? So to find out exactly why they churn, and then to try to prevent this. So it's more like, I would say the headline for this is something like customer success management. Yeah, so to be able to predict. So when there is a trigger point in terms of data that you can say, if this happens, they will churn in a few days, in a few weeks, or in a few months. And this, so I would say that's a really advanced hack for scaling companies. But I would say that's one of the biggest, what we were able to implement with some companies already, to do this kind of churn prevention hacks, to say like this.
Yeah,
Maybe,
absolutely. Yeah, I completely agree. Like right now, getting new customers is fun, but because there are, well, virtually no new customers, right? No one is really brave enough to try new software. No one really has the budgets for that anymore. So you just want to hold on to those who is already there, right? So yeah, absolutely, churn is a big one.
Yeah, but I think what's important, and that's the reason why I separated the SaaS target group from my point of view, is if you are in the other part, if you are still building, not in the scaling phase, you have started, or in the product market fit phase, or the small phases behind, don't focus too much on churn in these days. That's what I want to say. You have to cope with it for sure, but maybe it's too early because you are still building up. You have to still focus the aha moment thing, and so on, instead of focusing on churn. Because what I learned in the most of the companies with an organization, it's you are still building up. It's not possible to focus both in parallel. It's not possible to focus the product market fit and churn in the same way. It's not possible. And most of the companies, they are just get stressed with these big strategical things to do. Yeah. So that is for the scaling companies. And then I would say the biggest growth hack for the beginning or the growth phase. So the one I already mentioned is to find the right entry point in your system. Is it free trial? Is it freemium? Is it the white paper thing? So that is a really big one to find the right one and to experiment around with it. So it's not one growth hack, but it's something where I start a project to ask, or if I'm doing sales with SaaS companies, that's one of my first questions. So how do you get the people in your system? And then we have a lot of discussions around this. So that's my number one. And my number two is play around with social ads. If your target group is on LinkedIn, then do it on LinkedIn. If it is on Instagram, then do it on Instagram. If it is TikTok, play around with TikTok ads. It's unbelievable how cheap you can get leads, prospects from TikTok if your target group is on TikTok.
Right there,
And then for us, common sense again, in all of these kind of platforms, you have this lead form thing. So that means don't bring them to your landing page. Just make ads that target that direct to a lead form. That means there is an ad. You click on that from customer perspective, you click on the ad and you're not going to your landing page. There's just opening in LinkedIn, in TikTok, in Instagram is opening this form, this native form where they type in the first name, last name, email address, telephone number thing. And from the customer perspective is the conversion rates are going up. Why? They don't have to leave the platform because they are hanging around on social networks like you do it and then like I'm doing it, and they don't want to leave. And that's a conversion uplifter in the first stage of your funnel, where I always say, we all know that they are there, these kind of lead forms, but most of the companies don't use it, and I don't know why.
Yeah, that's a good one. I think you're absolutely right. And I mean, the whole so-called zero-click content, right, that Brent Fishkin is talking about, where you're right, no one really wants to click on something and go to another platform. You're already there. You want to see everything in one place. So, yeah, just make it as simple as possible to just like hang around, explore what's already there, and yeah, and just take it from there.
And maybe to add one thing in our growth hacking story again, think of experimentation. You have a new idea what to test in social media ads, for instance.
Mhm.
So you can focus on the idea behind and on the creative what you want to play out instead of thinking about your landing page, because you don't need a landing page. You have an idea for a campaign or for a creative, and you could be out in 2 hours because you don't need a landing page. You could be out in 2 hours and you can get the first results in 10 hours. So this is fastening your system, because the old way, what is the creative? What is the call to action? What is the lead magnet? And how does a landing page look like? Blah, blah. Get rid of the landing page because you just have to play with the creative. And that gives you so much energy and so much speed to get fast results. That's something where we are coming from and where we try to bring into the teams this kind of thinking. Where can we slice the big ideas in smaller pieces to get results faster?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Don't overcomplicate it. You have so much freedom to play with on social media. And, if it resonates, it resonates. People are going to follow it. And if it doesn't resonate, landing page or not, it's not going to be there. You're not going to get any leads. So yeah, perfect. I think that's a really good one. Thank you so much, Hendrik. I mean, it's been absolutely awesome talking with you. I think so many SaaS founders would find it very helpful because, common sense or not, sometimes you need to be reminded like what to do and where to go and what to use and like how to simplify the journey. So thank you so much for sharing your hacks, and it's been great having you here.
Yes, I had a lot of fun. Again, thanks for invitation, and to everybody out there. I'm 43. I'm so not too old, but I'm coming from this hashtag generation, and our hashtag is execute or die.
Okay.
We say just take maybe one thing, if common sense or not, just take one thing out of it, bring it to your team and try to experiment with it, because listening to podcasts and getting ideas, honestly, that's not what brings you forward. Just take one thing out and bring it to execution. That would be my, then this one was helpful, and then it was good for me.
Absolutely. All right. And if anyone in the audience wants to find you, learn more about what you do and your growth hacking tips, how to do that?
Yes, I would say the easiest way is LinkedIn. So just find me on LinkedIn, Hendrick Lennarz. Yeah, I would say this is the easiest one for all the Germans out there. We have a podcast where we are talking about this kind of growth hacks all the day. Or on our website is unlock-growth.com. That's it.
All right. Perfect. All right. Well, yeah, again, thank you so much. Hopefully we can do it again sometime, bring more value to the founders, maybe do an AMA someday, because that's what we do with awesome experts live on LinkedIn. And yeah, thank you, Hendrik, and take care.